Okay, this is how to bind off left-handed with a stretchy bind off. Got a section of stockinette here on 2x2 ribbing to show how to work it regular and in a pattern. Normally you would just turn and then take your yarn and bind off with that, but I've tried a contrasting color to better be able to see it. I'm Continental. Now I do knit combined. I wrap my knit stitches differently, but I did try this with both styles of wraps and it really doesn't matter using the same steps, so it works both ways. So I knit one, I knit one. Now I take my needle, my right hand needle, I put it back into the stitches so they're on both needles, my left needle and back, and then I knit the two stitches together. Now I knit my next stitch, I insert my right hand needle back into them, so my left needle's in back, I knit them together. Knit one, put them back on the needles so both needles are in the stitches, knit two together. This can be done with a crochet hook as well, and I will probably be doing a video on that later. Knit one, right hook back into them, or needle back into them, knit two together. Knit one, the needle back in. When you're knitting, your left needle is going to be in back because you have to make a knit stitch. Knit two together. Knit one, slip them back, knit two together. This creates extra yarn between the bind offs and allows more stretch. I like to use this bind off for pretty much everything I knit. Knit one, needle back in, knit two together. Knit one, needles, knit two together. Now this is the last stitch of the stockinette, so I'm going to knit this and bind off just as I had before. Two together. Now these are purl stitches, so I got to bring my yarn to the front. I'm going to purl this stitch. I'm going to put my needle in, but this time my left needle is going to be in front because I'm going to need to purl them because I purled the last stitch. I'm going to purl them together. Go in, purl, go back into the stitches, so both stitches are on your needle, left needle in front, purl them together. Now this is a knit stitch, so I'm going to knit it, I'm going to go back in. Now my left needle is in back, and I'm going to knit them together. Knit one, back on the needles, right needle, knit two together. Now we're back into purl, purl one, put them back on the needles, purl two together. Purl one, purl two together. Knit one, because this is my knit part of the rib again. Knit two together. Knit one, put your needle back in, knit two together. Purl one, because this is the last of the purl part of the ribbing. Put your needle back in, set your left needles in front, and purl those two stitches together. And the last stitch, I'm going to purl it, I'm going to put my needle back in, I'm going to purl those two stitches together. Now I'm going to cut my yarn. Usually I have better scissors than this, sorry. I'm going to pull that tail all the way through. And then I would weave in the tail. I would either do it along the back side or across the top if I was going to be stitching or adding an edging. And then you can see this also. See, there's stretch. My cast on, I did a video on that just before. The stretchy, my bind off is stretchy. And I'll show you, I'm making a pair of fingerless mittens in sock yarn, but I use the same bind off for this, and these are all 2x2 ribbing. Look how stretchy that is, and it folds up nicely in pattern.